Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so we are back with TEW9, the Disney Wrestling Entertainment Save. We are here with another episode of Tuesday Night Titans. Let's take a look back at last week's show. So we had on our pre-show Chris Mordesky defeating Tyler Bate, Deonna Purrazzo, and Tony Storm beating Casey Catanzaro and Kyrie Hogan. Then we had Matt Sydal defeat Jacob Fatu. We had our announced team run down the show. We had Austin Aries and ABC defeat Dragon Lee and the Rascals. Nick Aldis talking about his World Championship win last week. Then we had Matt Cardona face Nick Gage. Britt Baker and Allison Kay talking about tonight's tag team match. We had FTR defeat the Colognes. We had Ric Flair talk about his new client, Gigi Dolan. We had the Young Bucks take on the Lucha Brothers. Jay Lethal talking about his lightweight championship win the week before, who was then interrupted by JD McDonough, who made his debut. We had Britt Baker and Allison Kay defeat Rosemary and Crazy Marie Dobson. Then we had the Young Bucks set out a challenge to the Good Brothers one more time to run it back for the World Tag Team titles. We had CM Punk talk about getting interrupted by Jon Moxley, and then we had CM Punk in his first match back against Walter. So, I will be right back. I will make tonight's show, and then we'll run right into it. So, I will be right back. 1. Alright, everybody, so we are back. We have the show booked. Let's hop into it with a 6-woman tag team match as our first pre-show match. So, in a pre-show bout that had decent wrestling but didn't have much heat, Hikaru Shida, Kylie Ray, and Rosemary defeated Kamala Khan, Madison Lane, and Penelope Ford in 13 minutes and 25 seconds when Hikaru Shida pinned Camila with the Majo no Ikinichi. Hopefully I said that right. I probably didn't. The crowd heat at the end was expectant and simmering. The wrestling rating was a 67. The crowd rating was a 42. The segment got a 72. Rosemary had an 83. Kylie Ray had a 75. Hikaru Shida had a 65. Penelope Ford had a 66. Madison Lane had a 58. And Camila had a 56. Kylie Ray debuted her fun babyface gimmick, and it got an adequate. Camila debuted her old school heel, and it got a poor. And Penelope Ford debuted her bitch gimmick, and it got an initial rating of awful. So, Hikaru Shida is getting better at her gimmick, which is fantastic. Let's head into our next segment, which is an 8-man tag team match. So, in a pre-show bout that had decent wrestling and non-existent crowd heat, Matt Sydal, Tyler Bate, and the Briscoe brothers defeated Chris Mordesky, Dalton Castle, Nick Gage, and Ricky Starks in 15 minutes and 23 seconds when Jay Briscoe pinned Ricky Starks with the double underhook pile driver. So the crowd heat at the end is expected and simmering. The wrestling was a 70. The crowd rating was a 35. The segment got a 74. Ricky Starks had an in-ring performance of 68. Nick Gage had a 68. Dalton Castle had a 75. And Chris Mordesky had a 66. Tyler Bate had a 67. Matt Sydal had a 61. Mark Briscoe had a 75. And Jay Briscoe had a 78. So Dalton Castle debuted his weirdo gimmick, and it got a very good. Both the Briscoe brothers debuted their redneck gimmick and got an awful. So that's horrible. So, we are going to open up the show with a promo from Stephen Amell, which got a 70, so that's not too bad, not too bad. Welcome to Tuesday Night Titans DEW fans. Tonight we're making history. I'm beyond excited to bring it all to you right here. You see, we're not just going to put on any regular show. We're here to make memories, to create legends, and tonight we're going to crown our first DWE Intercontinental Champion. That's right, tonight, 6 of the most talented, hungry competitors will step into the ring and give it their all in a high-stakes 6-man match. One of them will walk out as the first ever DWE Intercontinental Champion. And let me tell you, each one of them has earned the right to be here. I promise you, this is going to be a match you'll remember. And that's not all. We've got a main event that is worth the price of admission alone. Jon Moxley going one-on-one with the legendary Hiroshi Tanahashi. Two icons of the ring, each with a fire and a passion for this business that's unmatched. When these two collide, I can guarantee you won't be able to take your eyes off the action. And for all you fans who love hard-hitting women's action, we've got an incredible match lined up between two of the toughest competitors on our roster. Allison Kay will face Chris Statlander in what promises to be an absolute war. Both of these women are ready to throw down and prove why they are among the best in the world. And this isn't just any match, this is a battle between two warriors. So buckle up and get ready and enjoy the ride, because tonight DWE is delivering nothing but the best. The first ever DWE Intercontinental Champion will be crowned. Jon Moxley and Tanahashi will collide, and Allison Kay and Chris Statlander are ready to tear it up. So let's make history, DWE fans. So the angle got the crowd hotter, and it got the show off to a strong start. So let's jump into our first match, which is the talked about Allison Kay and Chris Statlander match. So in a decent match, Allison Kay defeated Chris Statlander in 9 minutes and 6 seconds by pinfall with the cutthroat. The crowd is now white hot. The wrestling rating got a 69, the crowd rating got a 50, and the segment got a 75. Allison Kay got a 69, Chris Statlander got a 69 as well. Chris Statlander debuted her Rebel gimmick, and it got an initial rating of very good, and this match got the crowd hotter as well. So, we're just trying to build up Allison Kay a little bit, get Chris Statlander on the card a little more. So let's take a look at the dirt sheets. So they were both penalized for holding back, and the commentary quality was penalized for low experience. So I think what I might do is just go around and look for some better commentary and see what we can find and who we can find. Maybe take a look at what, AEW and WWE have, and maybe we'll go from there with it. So let's head into our next segment, which is the debut of Awesome Kong, who came out after the match and just laid waste to both of them, both Allison Kay and Chris Statlander. The crowd is very hot. Awesome Kong debuted her female monster gimmick, and it got an initial rating of great. So, not as good as I'd like. It's a 62, but you know what? For everything that we're trying to accomplish with it, bringing in Kong as this big unbeatable force, just laying out two women at the same time, it is what it is for it. So, hey, it's a pretty good one, and the crowd is very hot, too, for it. So, let's head into the next segment, which got a 90. That is fantastic. So, in a great 5-minute interview, we saw CM Punk and Jon Moxley cutting some promos. The crowd is very hot, and CM Punk improvised very well throughout the segment. Punk, you walk around here like you're the only one who knows what it takes to be the best. Like nobody else has scratched and clawed their way through the trenches. But let's get one thing straight. There's only one guy in the ring who's taken on every challenge, every fight, anyone that's been thrown at him. And that's me. No, really, Mox. You think because you had a few hardcore matches, broken a few chairs, that makes you the best? Let me remind you, being the best isn't just about being tough or reckless. It's about knowing this business, being smart, and showing up when it really counts. I've been to the top, I've stayed on top, and that's not something just anyone can do. Stayed at the top, huh? You talk a big game, punk, but let's be real, when things got tough, you just left. Meanwhile, I was in the trenches grinding night in and night out, showing the fans and everyone that I was the real deal. The truth is, you don't have what it takes to keep up with someone like me. You really think you're better than me, Mox? Because every time we're in the ring, I can see it in your eyes. You know I've got something you can't touch. Call it experience, call it skill, call it being the best in the world. And you hate it, don't you? You hate that deep down you'll always be the guy trying to prove himself. Punk, I don't need to prove myself to you or anyone else. But if you're standing here thinking you can push me around, you're in for a rude awakening. You want to talk about who's the best? Why don't we settle it? The only way that matters, right here in this ring, you and me, let's find out who's really got it. You know what, Mox? Fine. Let's do it. But just know when the bell rings and it's just you, me, and our skills, you're gonna see firsthand why I'm called the best in the world. I can't wait, punk. When we're done, you'll know exactly who you're standing across from. The guy who's gonna leave you lying on the mat wondering what hit you. So let's do this. So, we'll add that to our first pay-per-view. Sold out. So, we are going to pre-book the match. So, CM Punk and Jon Moxley. So that match is now booked. We'll see that happen at the upcoming sold out pay-per-view in 19 days. So let's head into our next match, which got an 80. That is a lot better than I thought we were going to get. So in a decent match, Deonna Purrazzo and Tessa Blanchard defeated Kyrie Hogan and the debuting Blair Davenport in 9 minutes and 38 seconds when Deonna Purrazzo submitted Blair Davenport with the Fujiwara armbar. So the crowd at the end is very hot. The wrestling rating got a 70. The crowd rating got a 50. The segment got an 80. Blair Davenport had an in-ring performance of 67. Kyrie Hogan had an in-ring performance of 68. Tessa Blanchard had a 77. And Deonna Purrazzo had a 69. So Blair Davenport debuted her cocky gimmick and it got an initial rating of adequate, which, hey, you know what, that's not too bad. Especially considering she's just debuting, and I don't think she's that over. She actually kept up with everybody in the ring, too. I mean, besides Tessa, who's, what, 8 above her own tag team partner, so, I mean, that's not too bad. So let's head into our next segment, which is a promo from Miro, which got a 77. That's not too bad. So the crowd is still white hot. There's nothing specific to talk about in it, but let's jump into it. Nick Aldis, you call yourself a champion, but you haven't faced anyone like me. You're walking around here with the DWE World Championship holding it high, but the truth is, that title is just waiting for its rightful king to take it, and that king, Aldis, is standing right here. You faced a lot of guys, Nick, but you'd never face someone who fights with the rage, the power, and the purpose that I bring to this ring. You see, I'm not here to play games. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to conquer. And if you want to prove to the world that you're a true champion, you'll give me that match. You'll step into this ring and you'll face the most dangerous man in this company. Nick, you like to talk about legacy, about pride, but I have my own pride, my own destiny in taking that world championship off your shoulder and putting it right here where it belongs. Because when you face the Redeemer, you don't just face a wrestler, you face a force of nature. And I don't stop until I've taken everything in my path. So what's it going to be, Aldous? Are you going to hide behind that title? Or are you going to be a real champion and face me? Because sooner or later, that title is coming to me. And if you've got the guts to defend it, I'll make sure everybody remembers the night that I crushed the national treasure once and for all. So it's not a half bad promo. The dirt sheets. Miro got a bonus for being an amazing heel. The segment got a bonus for being done with a very crowd hot, and the announcing quality is low. So, I mean, the announcing is really killing us. Um, so I think we're gonna have to, go through. If anyone has any suggestions of anybody to look up, try to hire or anything like that, write it in the comments and I'll check it out and we'll kind of take a look through and see who we can find. So let's head off to our next match, which is Jay Lethal defending his light heavyweight championship. In a bout that had good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd, Jay Lethal defeated JD McDonough in 9 minutes and 37 seconds by pinfall with his flying elbow drop. So the match was designed to revolve around high spots and everything. Jay Lethal makes defense number 1 of his DWE Light Heavyweight Championship. The crowd is very hot. The wrestling rating was a 78. The crowd rating is a 53, and the segment got an 86. So Jay Lethal had an in-ring performance of 72, and JD had an 82. So, I mean, hey, that's not too bad for him. JD making his first match here. I mean, in 82, that's really well. That's really good, actually. So, maybe we'll see some more matches between these two, and you never know. So let's head off to our next segment, which got a 63. I'm surprised that it's this low. But hey, so it's a promo from Sean Ricker hyping up the Intercontinental six-way that he's going to be in. So let me talk to you. I know everybody's buzzing about the DWE Intercontinental Championship. 6 competitors, 1 shot at gold. But let's not kid ourselves here. There's only one guy who's walking out of the ring with the title. And you're looking at him. Yeah, you see a lot of guys are talking a big game. They say they're hungry. They've worked their whole lives for a shot like this. But here's the thing. There's only one name that matters. And that's Sean Ricker. When I step in there, I don't just bring skill. I bring the whole package. And if you're looking for someone who can back it up from bell to bell, you're looking at them. Yeah, they can throw all the competition they want at me, but when the dust settles, only one name will be echoing through the arena, and that's Sean Ricker. Because while everyone is out there trying to prove themselves, I'm walking in already knowing what everyone doesn't want to admit, that I'm just plain better. I'm smarter, I'm faster, and when I hit the gravy train, you're looking at the first ever DWE Intercontinental Champion. To everyone else in the match, take a good look, because this is the closest any of you are getting to that title. I'll see you out there, and when it's all said and done, you can call me champ, and that's not an insult. That's just a fact of life. Yeah. So, I mean, not a half bad promo. It could have been a lot worse. Like I kind of thought it was gonna happen, but Hey, I mean, I will not complain. It took me a little bit to be able to sign him, but hey. So he improvised really well. His old school heel gimmick got a pour. Might have to change that and find a loudmouth gimmick for him. So let's head into our next match, which got a 79. So in a bout that had a good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd, FTR and the Good Brothers, Gallows and Anderson, defeated the Colognes and the Young Bucks in 9 minutes and 42 seconds when Cash Wheeler pinned Eddie Colon with a fast roll up. So the crowd is very hot. The wrestling rating got a 73. The crowd rating got a 67. And the segment got a 79. Carl Anderson had a 74. Luke Gallows had an 80. Dax Harwood had a 78. Cash Wheeler had a 62. Nick Jackson had a 77. Matt Jackson had a 74. Orlando Colon had a 68. And Eddie Colon had a 71. So Dax Harwood's getting better at his gimmick. So we're kind of just trying to set up, you know, going through and getting FTR a little more over, while also having Gallows and Anderson around, showing that the tag team champions are always here when they're needed. Um, and then the Young Bucks, I'm really kind of deciding on if we should put the tag titles on them or, what are we going to do here with them? Because, I mean, they are a great tag team, but, I mean, it is what it is, really. Um, I don't know. Last week they had really good performances, and this week, kind of mid. So we'll see what happens. So let's head into our next promo from Britt Baker, which got a 74. That's fantastic. So in an average 5-minute interview that took place backstage, we saw Britt Baker working the crowd. The crowd's very hot. Nothing really specific about it, but let's head into our promo. All right, so tonight I'm teaming up with Gigi Dolan. We're facing up against Tennille Dashwood and Taya Valkyrie. Now let me break it down real simple for you. Tennille. Oh right, that's right. I changed it. It's Tennille Dashwood and Casey Catanzaro. So Tennille, Casey, you may think you're stepping into just another match, but this is more than that. This is an opportunity for us to show you and everyone watching why Gigi Dolan and I are the future of DWE. Gigi's got that killer instinct, and with me by her side, we're unstoppable. You see, Tennille, you've been doing this for a long time, and Casey, you're no stranger to gold. But let's be honest, neither of you are ready for what you're about to face, because when that bell rings, it's going to be pure precision, pure skill, and pure domination from us. And while you're both busy figuring out how to keep up with us, you're going to be already laying flat on your backs, looking up at the lights. So bring everything you got, ladies. But just know, by the end of the night, you'll both be left in the dust while Gigi and I walk out with our hands raised. Because this is our time, and you're just a step on the path to proving exactly why I'm Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. And don't forget about it. So, let's head in to the next match, which is the 6-way Intercontinental Championship match. So, in a bout that had good wrestling and decent reaction from the crowd, Sean Ricker defeated Matt Cardona, Jethro Holiday, Will Ospreay, Zack Sabre Jr., and EC3 in 10 minutes and 27 seconds when Sean Ricker pinned Jethro Holiday with the bottom rung. It should have been the gravy train, but that's all right. So Sean Ricker wins the DWE Intercontinental Championship. The crowd at the end is very hot. The wrestling rating was a 72. The crowd rating is a 56. The segment got a 78. Sean Ricker had an in-ring performance of 73. Matt Cardona had a 73. Jethro had a 66. Will Ospreay had a 76. So maybe I should have went with Will to win it. But I kind of do have a little bit of a plan for Sean. Zack Sabre Jr. had a 74. EC3 had a 72. Jethro debuted his redneck gimmick and it got a great. So it's so weird that he debuted his redneck and got a great. And then the Briscoes debuted theirs and got a poor rating for it. So EC3 debuted his cocky gimmick and it got an initial rating of poor. So that's fantastic. So let's head off to the next segment, which was the women's tag team match. So in a decent match, Britt Baker and Gigi Dolan defeated Tennille Dashwood and Casey Catanzaro in 7 minutes and 2 seconds when Britt Baker pinned Tennille Dashwood. So in terms of ring work, Britt Baker was head and shoulders above everybody. As well as Casey Catanzaro was the weak link, struggling to keep up with everybody. The crowd is now simmering down. The wrestling rating was a 61. The crowd rating was a 47. The segment got a 70. Gigi had a 64. Britt had an 83. Casey had a 33. And Tennille had a 62. So Tennille and Casey don't work well together as a team, so their timing was all over the place, which explains why Casey had the lowest rating in the match. The match did a great job at giving the crowd a breather. The performance of Britt Baker stood out as being good, and Tennille is getting good at her gimmick. So let's head off to our next segment. That's just horrible. So it was just a video package, kind of hyping up Jon Moxley, showing, all of his previous accomplishments, the AEW World Championship, the WWE Championship, and everything like that, so the crowd is simmering. So let's head off to our main event of Jon Moxley and Hiroshi Tanahashi, which got an 88. That's fantastic. So in a wild brawl that had superb wrestling and great heat, Hiroshi Tanahashi defeated Jon Moxley in 12 minutes and 50 seconds by pinfall with the high fly flow. Which is really weird because, okay, so that didn't do what I thought it was going to. So the crowd is simmering. The wrestling rating got a 93. The crowd rating was an 82, and the segment rating got an 88. So Jon Moxley had an in-ring performance at 95. Hiroshi Tanahashi had a 90. Hiroshi debuted his Chosen One gimmick, and it got an initial rating of great. The creative finish that I put in was a success. The match deserved better commentary and color commentary. So, like I said, we're really going to need to find some better commentary for us, because Jim Cornette and Kevin Kelly just they aren't cutting it for us. So let's end the show. And we got an 88. That is fantastic. So we increased our popularity in 15 regions. We would have gained 2 in the US, but we were limited to the number of viewers, along with Canada. And the show benefited from having quite a few wide selection of angles. So let's check out our financial report. We made $257,015. So that's not too bad. Let's check the popularity. So nothing really went up, which I kind of expected, but that's all right. The media scrum. So that is everything for this episode. We will be back with our next DWE Tuesday Night Titans.